As promised, we'll dive a little deeper into our analysis cycle. First thing to recognize is that this is an innovation brought by the kid. He's basically saying this is how to organize for data analysis so you don't have to go learn that process. And don't panic when I say we're going to do it a lot. We're going to do it 14 times officially through here. Why, you might ask, well, how does one get to Carnegie Hall? And the answer is practice, practice, practice. So our analysis cycle is a framework for approaching the various data tasks that we're going to have. It is a tool, and it will allow us to focus our various analyses a number of different ways. In fact, more than 14 different times if we do it correctly. Some of the analyses will focus specifically on smaller details. Others will focus on big picture concepts. And the idea is to use the repetition to improve not only your individual but your group performance as well. At the conclusion of each cycle, sit back, take a minute, reflect on what worked well and what still can be improved both within and among the various groups. I'm going to show you this analysis cycle for a couple of different perspectives. The first one is a graphics perspective, just showing you the sort of workflow, which is that everybody in their teams will do individual work and come up with team deliverables. And these team deliverables will then be summarized into a class deliverable. I say summarized, it's not just a summary, but it's a process that will come up with something that we can then get some feedback from. That feedback then allows us to go back for the next cycle with better information for everybody based on some of everybody's individual analyses. Let's look at a little bit more detail. Here is one team's approach. And of course, it's not quite as easy as the high-level diagrams show. We're going to start off by showing individual team members that contribute here. Each one of these 4 team members contributing a box to the solution here. Now that's nice, everybody's got boxes, but nobody knows what's in anybody else's box. So at some deadline that the team will agree upon, then team number 5 can look at team number 6, 7, and 8's various deliverables. Team number 6 can now look at 5, 7, and 8's deliverables. Team member number 7 can look at 5, 6, and 8 deliverables. And finally, team member 8 can look at 7, 6, and 5 deliverables. Yes, I had to do all of them because I did all the animation. Just kidding. Okay, so these constitute the individual work products then. An important point to reference here is that you all are welcome to get as much possible help on your individual work products as possible. So if you find somebody who's in another group that collaborates well with you and you guys can improve your respective deliverables, that is great. These are the pieces which will be delivered to the team sometime before Wednesday, because by Wednesday at 7 p.m., the team has to come up with a group work product. And this group work product is what they are going to show the rest of the team. So the work product from team 2 would flow in with the rest of the work products. Again, our deadline is 7 p.m. For class time on Wednesdays. And all the other work products come together to form what we call the class work product. Again, feedback all the way around so that everybody learns from everybody else, and we repeat the cycle another time. I mentioned the cycle. Each cycle is 3 days. It's going to consist of individual work where everybody on the team will learn, analyze, package, tag, post, and review other group members' individual work products. Again, our deliverable here for individual deliverables will be agreed upon, but certainly no later than 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Then we move into some group work where, again, work with everybody else is consulted all the way throughout the course. The goal is to produce from your individual team member products a good work group product representing effective and efficient information transfer to the other groups, and then to post that product. You will also be graded group grades for those individual products. In class, then review other work group products, assess what is known, so you now know what everybody else knows, and plan for the next analysis cycle with goals, etc., in there. This part I'm drawing the purple line around is what represents, again, the analysis cycle, 2 of those per week. Let's look at the specific components in here. First of all, there's a bit of learning where you'll go through some various bits and courses of how to learn about data analysis. You'll study existing materials, and you will spend part of your time searching for new informational materials that are not currently available to the class. You'll do some analysis where you're putting into practice the knowledge that you've acquired to date. But to maximize this analysis, because everybody's doing it, it must be coordinated at the work group level. Each team will decide what everybody does for everybody else's bit in here to try to solve the entire puzzle. As far as then next step is packaging, you compress your discoveries and deliveries into the easiest way for everybody to understand your accomplishments. I call this an articulation, so I will say package your articulations. Balance effort with the thought that this work product is likely to be viewed only once, long enough for somebody else to learn from it, possibly twice if somebody needs to go back and reference it again. Findings, in this case, are expected outcomes. If I'm working with participants and they have an age category, then I would expect to be able to find out the average age of those participants. That would be nothing spectacular. Unexpected discoveries, on the other hand, would be the fact that after we do the analysis, then we discover that 3/4 of those participants are male, and we were expecting a pretty much balanced survey design. This, of course, is a discovery because it's unexpected in that category. And whatever your results are, whether they are findings or discoveries, tagging them will make sure that they are easily located by other classmates. This sounds like it's coming from social networking, but we've been calling it metadata for many, many years in this process. And those two activities tend to be seen as together, activities packaging and taxing. Posting, this is what gets graded. You upload your articulation to the rest of the class, informing them of the results and what you've learned from your analysis of your part of the puzzle. After your group has posted their individual articulations, review them all and emphasize emphasis should be here on effectiveness and efficient information transfer. Again, 2 cycles per week, so your weeks for the next 7 weeks will look like analysis cycle 1 Monday through Wednesday, Thursday through Saturday analysis cycle 2. Then on Wednesdays, we will spend a little bit of time getting ready for the session, where I'll set some goals and expectations as far as what we're trying to do for the session. Then we'll do a live Zoom session at that point with you guys breaking up into groups, looking over the other work group deliverables, and then deciding what to go forward, how to move forward from there. Then we'll meet again for a session wrap-up at the end. There will be an interim work group deliverable midnight on Saturday night. This will repeat for 7 weeks, and the analysis cycles are clearly numbered 1 through 14. So we can look at all the analysis cycles here and say analysis 1 and deliverable 1 will be individual deliverable and group deliverable done by Wednesday 7 p.m. Analysis cycle number 2 will then run Thursday through Friday and come up with interim deliverables at that point. Again, all the rest of the cycles deliverables. These will be the graded ones. These will be the interim deliverables here, where they'll be helpful but not graded for everybody. Here's yet still another way to look at it in terms of blocks of time. Again, individual work, but I hope that you cycle through that individual work, going back and forth. Then before you get together in groups, prepare for work group product consumption. In other words, you're going to find out what everybody else has done, but you've got to show yours as well. It's kind of like calling in poker. Before midnight, prepare on Saturday. Also interim work group products there. And then, as I mentioned before, there's be a little bit of preparation in there. Then we're going to look as groups. You'll sit back and say, what have the other groups found out? How do I do their findings very quickly? And then what do we know and what do we want to do in terms of offering the next week's worth of useful analysis on here, and then deciding on a specific course of action for us. We'll finish off each of the Wednesday night pieces with a QA and wrap up. And as I mentioned several times now, the interim work group deliverables are due midnight on Saturday night. They can be delivered anytime up to that point, of course. The cycle will continue to repeat for the 7 weeks of the class. Let's take a couple of those words again, dive in a little bit further. Learning, analysis, packaging, posting, and reviewing is what's done by an individual. I mentioned before, iteration is important on that. You're going to have 4 of them that make up a team, or one group 5. And then you're going to have to get together as a group and say, all right, what do the 4 pieces tell us? What have we learned? Hopefully it's the union of all of your individual analyses with careful coordination. You then prepare as a group a work product for consumption by the other groups. Some of them will be graded, some of them will not. Either way, all groups will review all other group work products during the Wednesday night sessions and then determine the path going forward. This will also happen sometimes Sundays as you guys are reviewing everybody's interim products as well to get you focused for the next cycle. Again, feedback keeps us looking smarter as we go down the process. Cycle repeats 7, in this case 14 times, twice a week for the next 7 weeks. So finishing off, where do we go to next? Well, first of all, back to Blackboard and looking at the schedule assignments folder. The contents are organized weekly. Each week containing 2 analysis cycles. Start with analysis cycle 01. The individual and group assignments are due on Wednesday. Hopefully this has been helpful.